Voila. Okay. Hello, I'm Ebert.
Does that make me Roper or Siskel?
Preference, user choice. Anyway,
and we're at school.
Obviously, so we're ghettoing this up more so than we usually do. We're a little behind. I apologize. We were going to try and get a lot of stuff done. Most of it, thankfully, like half the first 2 big projects are done. Now I got the extra 3 done, which God knows how long it's going to take. But at that point, that's mostly me at this point, which by the way, Sarah's been a big help for that, by the way. So when you watch that, you'll know what she did and I did not. Anyway, so.
I've just been trying to pick ones that I think people will find amusing or offensive.
You'll know when you see it. Anyway, so on to today's movie. This actually came out a couple weeks ago, so our memory's a bit rusty on it. We need to get to it for a little while, but
it also should be noted that we, unlike our typical reviews, we saw this separately on different days.
Yeah, because I saw it by myself,
and I saw it by myself as well.
Yeah, so there you go. Patrick was originally supposed to go see it, but Patrick gets busy, so he didn't have time to go see it. So I was like, okay, we'll do it without you. He said, okay. Anyway, we are here to talk about Her, which is the new Spike
Jonze.
Spike Jonze. I almost said Spike Lee. Like, no, that's not right. Entirely different movie.
Yes.
Her was the new Spike Jonze movie starring what's his name?
Joaquin Phoenix.
I knew it was Phoenix something.
And
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson as the operating system entity Samantha.
I mean, if you've seen the advertisement, this advertisement for it's fucking everywhere. So more than likely you've seen something about this somewhere. But
most likely, yes.
Yeah, so it's like Spike Jonze in the past has directed some very off-putting and very bizarre movies, like Where the Wild Things Are, which is a very good movie, by the way. Although I only saw it once and I haven't watched it since.
Is that adapted from the children's book?
Yes, but it's taken a lot of liberties from it since the children's book is like 5 pages. No, Where the Wild Things Are is actually a very fascinating movie. It kind of like explores the inner workings of a child's mind. Because like the whole thing is, I'm getting a little off topic here. We'll actually talk about the movie, I swear to God.
Well, if they've watched these reviews before, they know that we go off on tangents and shoot the shit.
Pretty much. So
tangent warning.
Yeah, the usual. So Where the Wild Things Are is basically a kid who basically gets lost in his imaginary world where all these different creatures until they get represent different parts of his personality rather than just being monsters like I think they are in the book. So it's actually quite interesting. He also directed that and Inside John Malkovich.
Being John
Malkovich. Inside John Malkovich, that sounds so much worse. Most offensive 2014. Here we come.
Getting an early start.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway. That leads us to Her, which right off the bat, I did not know what to think about this movie when I saw the trailers. I was kind of on the fence about it. I remember I saw it first with Lisa Don John. I think that was the first time I saw it. I was like, was I supposed to find this concept endearing or creepy, or what was I supposed to be thinking about it? It kind of was going for charming and quirky, but it's also kind of an unnerving concept at the same time.
I have a feeling you and I are going to have slightly differing views on this. I first saw the trailer, I think when we saw 12 Years a Slave.
Yes.
And my first impression of 2/3 of the trailer was that it looks colorful and beautiful and well-paced and interesting concept. There was one line in the trailer where I thought, okay, this is either going to be very well done or tasteful and
or dirty, perverted.
Yes.
It kind of lost a fine line there.
So that was my take on the trailer. So I was very excited for it, but I wasn't entirely sure which direction it would go in.
Surprisingly, the answer is a little of both, to be honest. Like, first off, I guess we should say what we actually thought about the movie. I love this movie. I thought it was a great film.
Me too. After I saw it, I texted you. And I basically told him that this is one of the best films to have been greenlit, at least within the past decade. I loved this film. It is touching and heartwarming and heartbreaking and endearing and charming, and I giggled, I cried. It is a beautiful film, and when I walked out of the theater, I thought a lot of legitimate life experience went into the creation of this script.
Well, it's like what makes it a really good movie, and I kind of felt the same way about, oddly enough, Groundhog Day, and I know it's a weird movie to tie it into, but bear with me, is the fact that it does have a very kind of unique concept to it, but it explores it to the full potential it can be reached, pretty much. Like, the movie knows the concept is kind of creepy. It knows it's a little uncomfortable, and it addresses that.
Maybe not.
Well, maybe not creepy, but a little.
Maybe a little risque.
I would say no. I would probably go a little more creepy, mostly because of the ex-wife's reaction towards the middle of the movie.
Well,
it's very unorthodox. Maybe is a better word.
Yes, it's unorthodox. It's not stereotypically normal, but in the scene to which you were referring, we don't see the ex-wife for very long in the film, but the one scene that she is on screen for, she comes across as a little. She rushes to judgment easily. Is the impression I got.
To be fair, given the circumstances, it sounds like a fair few people do, but at the same time, it looks like this kind of stuff has happened long enough that it's no longer like any kind of sort of racial issue at that point.
Yes, spoiler, I guess. There's another scene where Joaquin Phoenix's character, whose name was Theodore, I think.
Something like that.
Where he and Samantha, his operating system girlfriend, go out on a double date with two actual people, and I actually talked about this with one of my girlfriends in Monterey after she saw it, and she pointed out at that scene as an example of how open-minded the overall societal world that this movie takes place in is.
Yeah, I mean, I just liked how completely accepting that the guy was.
Yeah.
It was a hilarious little moment. Like, I'm jumping ahead quite a bit here. Because,
we both are. We're jumping
basically,
around.
there's this kind of creepy coworker that Joaquin Phoenix's character works with, because he works with by the way, this company he worked for a very, very clever idea.
Yes,
which is like he works basically at a love letter factory, where basically like they get certain clients and they write like love letters or like basically letters for different occasions, handwritten letters.
Personal handwritten letters that they basically dictate to a software, and it writes the letter in the handwriting of the client that they're writing the letter for.
Yeah, but anyways, this guy gets a little too attached to his work, and literally says, I was like, your words are so beautiful. I wish you'd write some of mine, or something like that. Basically, it's really, really creepy, but it's really the most accepting human being, because it's like, hey, this is my girlfriend. We should go on a double date. He goes, she's an OS. Cool.
Yes.
Let's go on a double date.
and they do.
So it's like, okay, I suddenly like this guy. Just like the most easily accepting human being. Just doesn't give a shit. Just one day with Joaquin Phoenix.
And I think that was the same actor who played Stanley in Jericho.
I didn't see Jericho, so I don't know, but I can't speak in that regard. But either way, it just one thing I really like about this movie in particular is that it feels very, even though like it's artificial intelligence, and there's a lot to discuss about that as well in the movie.
Yes, and we'll get to that, I'm sure.
It feels very human in its execution. Like I said, it explores the concept to its full potential. It addresses the concept that might make people a little uncomfortable, and maybe not creepy, but a little uncomfortable. You gotta admit, there's a little bit of that. Again, spoiler, the threesome scene made me uncomfortable. Yeah, like stuff like that, or even just the concept of being in a relationship with an AI at all is a little uncomfortable for some people. It was a little uncomfortable for me, but it's one of those things, it's the way they execute it. It's the way they kind of, first off, this is a very, very stylistic design, beautifully designed world. Yes, it is. Very much in the Apple-esque kind of, everything's kind of, almost complex in its simplicity, in a weird way.
And
And I like there's no flying cars or anything too advanced. It's just advanced enough to make you believe it's the future.
Yeah, there's no flying cars. People still use trains and subways and stuff. Another thing that my girlfriend pointed out to me, what's up, Ina, was that a lot of the costume choices were not very bold. They're all
tamed.
Yeah, they're very tame. They're solid colors. There aren't bold prints or anything. So in that sense, it's a bit of a uniform world.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was...
that's an interesting observation. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, a lot of the strength the movie does, of course, because it's a very sharply written script. And
yes. Easily one of the best scripts in at least a decade.
And of course, just the outstanding performances from pretty much everyone.
Yes.
Like, Joaquin Phoenix just does an amazing job as his main character. It really works great as like just a human anchor to carry all the more sci-fi elements in place. And it's all very subtle. Like, nothing's really directly overstated. It's kind of like what I said during the Nebraska review, where it's like there's a lot being said while doing very little.
Yes, it's a very less is more approach, and it walks that fine line, and it does it incredibly well. And Scarlett Johansson, whose performance is entirely in voiceover, is fantastic. Amy Adams, who plays...
Fucking love Amy Adams.
Oh, she's so cute.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you there, but I just have to point out, it's interesting watching her from American Hustle to her.
I haven't seen American Hustle yet, so I will take
basically
your word for it.
Polar opposite of this, as in kind of tame housewife, and in American Hustle, she's basically tough as nails, incredibly sexualized woman.
Nice.
And for a woman like in her 40s, she does a pretty fucking good job at it too.
I loved her in Julia, and then the Muppets. So
anyway, you were saying.
While she's more of a minor supporting character, she gives a good performance that is also subtle. It's alluded to, again, spoiler, towards the end that...
the very, very end.
The very end, like closing shot, that she and Joaquin Phoenix's character, that their platonic friendship is slowly developing into something more.
Yeah, that's the idea behind it anyway. But again, it's left to your own interpretation whether or not that actually happens.
I think the fact that she put her head on his shoulder was a pretty big hint.
Yeah, at the same time, I've seen some poor friend-zoned men who have the same issue, so...
Poor guys.
Yeah. We get it rough sometimes. I know women like to bitch out how poor men are, but it goes both ways! Anyway, sorry.
That's another topic for
That is another topic. Clearly, it's something I've experienced on more than a few occasions. Anyway!
You're not the only one.
Yeah, anyway. So, what was I talking about? Oh, yes. So basically, I mean, the focus and the core of the movie is just a relationship with Scarlett Johansson, or Sam, as she calls
Samantha.
Sam, same
Yep.
thing. She calls herself in the movie. Basically not only how their relationship develops over the course of the movie, but also how the AI develops. Because the concept is that the AI is constantly evolving. It's constantly growing bigger and smarter and developing all these different things and emotions.
And interests, like physics and a book club and composing musical compositions.
And not to mention, and it just gets crazier and crazier. Like, there's a part 2/3 of the way through the movie where they say they collected enough data from Alan Watts, who is I actually knew who he was before I saw this movie. I was surprised.
Really?
Like, he's a brilliant philosopher. Like, if you can see some of his lectures on YouTube.
Nice.
But brilliant stuff. But it's so heavy and will go right over your head. It's such a different way of viewing the world. Anyway, it was also voiced by Davy Jones, I noticed in the movie. I recognize that British voice.
Uh-huh.
But basically, they said they collect all this information about Alan Watts and they used it to recreate his mind and his intelligence in the form of another AI and stuff like that. And it gets even more and more advanced.
Yes.
Until eventually, spoiler alert for the end of the movie. Actually, this is a massive, massive spoiler. So if you do not want to know how this movie ends, go see this movie.
Yes,
Otherwise,
we both highly recommend it. It is a phenomenal film. and what he's about to tell you will pretty much spoil the ending entirely.
Yeah, so you've been warned.
If you haven't seen it yet, turn off this review and go out the door and see it.
Or skip for like the next 5 minutes or something.
Or if you don't care, then keep watching and you have been warned.
Yeah. So on that note, basically what happens towards the very end is that all the AIs get so advanced they basically decide like, hey, we're pretty much done with you guys. So they go off and do their own thing. They don't really say what. I can only assume they start forming Skynet. That's my theory.
Yes, I remember you mentioning that, which now that thought is creepy to me.
I'm just saying, what else are they doing? I was like, hey, these guys are kind of idiots. We can do a way better job.
You see, that's creepy.
Maybe the human mind is scarier than the robot mind.
The movie, not creepy.
No.
Your fan theory of the movie, creepy.
Hey, if I can conclude that Cars 2 is really about the apocalypse, I can conclude that her is a prequel to the Terminator.
Well, there is established folklore or fan theorydom that Cars 2 takes place in the Wall-E post-apocalyptic
There's also
world.
the massive theory that all the Pixar movies are connected, but that's neither here nor there.
Yes.
Anyway, so they basically decide they're gonna. Who knows what they're gonna do at that point? At that point, it's pretty much like might as well be God at that point because they've just gone off doing their own thing. Nobody knows, pretty much.
Well, God within the confines of technology.
True, but who says they can't eventually surpass that? And that's actually kind of an interesting question the movie kind of poses too. Is like, how far does it go? How much can they really do? I mean, they said they.
Well, they are designed to evolve.
Exactly. So the question is, when does that evolution stop? Does it ever stop? That's the question.
I don't know.
Maybe in a sequel. I doubt this shouldn't get a sequel. I'm
No.
not familiar with this getting a sequel, but
No, it is a wonderfully self-contained film. It does not need any further chapters.
I take it back. It does have further chapters called the Terminator series. Aha. Sorry. Sorry. I still stand by my theory. But anyway, like, Scarlett Johansson does not need to try hard to be a charming woman.
No.
But that being said, she still does a phenomenal job, and I don't care what anybody says. She's a damn good actress.
She is.
Like, I mean, just this past, even like the past year and a half, she's proven herself pretty well. Like, she did a great job in Don John. She did a great job here. She's great in other movies I can't think of at the moment. Like, Prestige should be good in that one, but that was a long time ago.
One of her first ones was Lost in Translation.
Oh, yeah, that was one of the first ones?
Yeah.
Shit. Oh, yeah. That's one of my favorite movies. Yeah. But no, I really love Scarlett Johansson. She's great here. It just, the emotions feel raw. Like, that's what it kind of came down to.
And you can detect it. The emotions are palatable. Like, you can, I felt every possible reaction that this movie was trying to elicit.
And that's why it works. It works because it doesn't pull any punches. Like I said, it explores the concept to its full potential.
Yes.
Even the parts that like borderline uncomfortable, like the threesome thing.
Yes. We should probably explain that.
We should actually just talk about this whole movie's very interesting sense of sexuality in general, because there's quite a few little interesting fetishes that popped up in the course of the movie.
Yes, the first one that came to mind. Okay, this part kind of bugged me a little bit because I like cats.
Okay, so for elaboration.
I mean,
oh my god. Okay,
So,
I'm really hoping like nobody's walking through the window in this conversation, because this is gonna get fucking weird.
It is. Okay, so
Alright.
towards the beginning of the film, before Theodore, aka Joaquin Phoenix, gets an OS.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, I'll let you finish, continue in a second, but it's worth noting that at the beginning of the film, Joaquin Phoenix's character is very much the very lonely, like he's just going through divorce that he hasn't fully committed to at the time.
His wife wants a divorce. He hasn't signed off on the divorce papers because he liked being married, and he's pretty isolated.
He's more comfortable living a lie than accepting reality at this point in his life, and that's
Yes.
when he gets the OS, and that's when it comes into play. Okay, before that happens,
Before
we
that,
get this weird fucking scene.
yes,
Which is both hilarious and disturbing at the same time.
It is. This was one of the few scenes that made me uncomfortable because I like kitties.
Now, I sat through Donjon, and I was like, even without like at least any of my female friends with me, I was just like,
Did you recognize any websites?
That's not important.
I see. Anyway, speaking of online or technological erotica, back to this opening, or one of the opening scenes, or one of the first scenes, I guess.
It's also worth noting that the new iPhone in this universe is no longer even a phone. Well, it is a phone, but it's mostly just an earpiece that you talk to and say commands to.
Yes.
Like next, email, or erase, or reply, or stuff like that.
Yes. So after Joaquin Phoenix goes home from work and checks his email via this earpiece and stuff, he's having trouble sleeping, and so he goes online via his earpiece into a chat room. At least I think it was a chat room, sort of.
It was like his phone sex line.
Yeah, looking for somebody to basically have online or
phone sex.
Phone sex, thank you. With, and he gets a response from one named Sexy Kitty or something like that. And
maybe I should continue this part. It's
yeah.
an uncomfortable part.
Yeah.
If anyone's gonna take this bullet, it might as well be me. It's my fucking show.
Go for it.
All right.
But yeah, there was one part that.
So basically, they start going at it. They start doing the dirty talk, and they both start doing the sexy moaning things. And then he starts visualizing like this pregnant woman that he saw like sexy photos of earlier in the scene. And then out of nowhere, she yells, "Choke me with your dead cat."
It's like, no. What about a dead animal is hot? No.
The same scene we literally just had like the pregnant thing like 5 seconds before this part. But granted, the dead cat is worse.
Oh well, pregnancy can be beautiful and alluring because it's indicative of fertility, which is what sex amounts to.
Well, this is the conversation that I thought I'd have on this show. Pregnancy fetishes. Let's get into it. Anyway,
it's not a fetish.
Everything's technically a fetish, but that's another discussion entirely.
Well, I'm just saying that.
Anyway, back to the dead cat fetish.
which is a phrase I never
I know,
wanted to
right?
hear. Like I said, I like kitties.
Take a shot every time you hear that phrase in your life. Like dead cat fetish? Really hard. Anyway, so basically,
I had a cat for 10 years.
I know, my sisters have cats, which is weird thinking about. Either way, so he naturally acts a little confused.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, I'm choking you with the dead cat. It's like, yes. So it's like, I'm pulling harder against the tail. It's weirder and weirder.
And she just keeps on getting more and more aroused until she basically comes. And then he is obviously weirded out by that, and so he didn't get his needs met nearly as much, and
that's the way it is sometimes.
And Sexy Kitty lady just says, "Okay, thanks, bye," and that ended that. And the next day he gets the OS.
And then has the other uncomfortable sex scene.
So. The other uncomfortable sex scene is the threesome that we referred to.
Actually, I was talking about the first one, with the one they initially start going the first time.
I actually didn't think that was uncomfortable, and I think this is one area where you and I are going to.
No, it's mostly just my sensibilities because I'm more like
disagree.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't well executed. It's very well executed. But it was more for me. It was like I need an adult. There are too many people here for this. But
you are an adult.
That's up for debate sometimes. Either way, it's that little kid in me that gets uncomfortable. Like I said before,
legally and chronologically.
It's like watching Game of Thrones with family, you know.
And for the most part, psychologically, you are an adult.
It's still, that doesn't change that little kid. There's still that little kid portion of me that just goes, "This should I be watching this? Like, should I leave for a second?" Anyway.
I had no idea you were so prudish.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, okay.
Not that it really bothers me, just that instinctual. It's just that instinctual urge in my head that I have to suppress for a couple seconds. But
okay.
There you go.
Learn something new every day, but
no, the real uncomfortable part came much later.
Yes, but before we move on to that, so whatever your opinion on cybering may be. I will say this for that scene when Theodore and Samantha first
Go at it.
go at it. Yes.
Bow, chick, bow, what? Sorry, go ahead.
So
That had to be done.
there will be other opportunities for that in this review, I'm sure.
Sorry, did I kill it?
Almost. Okay, I'm just trying to regain focus. Anyway, so this may make me sound like an old fuddy-duddy or something, but I thought this scene, I thought the exchange that they had when they first go at it, I thought it was extremely tasteful because the way they verbalized it, what they described, is lovemaking. Everything that they did, quote unquote, it is tender, intimate, private, special. It was lovemaking.
Maybe that's why it made me uncomfortable, because I've been in a long-term relationship.
I mean, and I know
It's too close to home, anyway.
I know that's not a term that is thrown around very much anymore. I'm a little unusual for having this perception about sex or this topic.
Usually without someone giggling, like a little girl, like,
yes.
like he said, penis. Sorry.
I used to be like that, and then I grew up.
Boys never grow out of that. I'm in a biology class right now, and everyone still snickers a little bit when they see, and the teacher says penis. Or at least maybe it's just me.
Maybe.
I can be immature. I will say it. I'm not ashamed. All right.
There we go.
It doesn't make me weak.
But yes, my view on sex is that if you experience it with somebody you love who loves you, there's nothing more special or beautiful, and that's what Theodore and Samantha basically did in this scene, word for word, tone for tone. They basically made love, and
I can feel it rising, baby.
Stop it.
Let's get it on. Sorry.
That's better.
I'm having way too much fun with this. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm actually being genuine.
I know you are. I'm being a dick.
Yes, you are.
Oh, okay. Just be blunt. All right, go ahead. Seriously, I'll stop.
Whether you're of the opinion that cybering is or is not sex, personally, cybering is not my thing. But what they basically did was made love, and I thought it was tastefully done, and I thought it was beautiful. I found it very touching.
All right. See, there we go. See, I managed to go through that whole last segment without making a single sex
Yes,
joke.
because you had your hands tied back.
This is restraint to give my restless body something to do. That's seriously all I was doing. I wasn't trying to make. I wasn't even going for that. I seriously wasn't. You don't believe me, do you?
No.
I wasn't. I swear to God.
I was actually being serious and.
I know.
And genuine and talking about something that is fairly personal to me. I mean, less personal now that I've shared it with anybody watching. But yes, I do not discuss this topic openly often.
Fair enough. Okay. Sorry for being a dick.
Thank you.
Okay, but I seriously wasn't trying anything with this. I swear to God, this is me relaxing because this chair reclines. We don't usually get that on the show.
Okay.
So don't read too much into that.
Okay.
Anyway.
So that was the sex scene that made him uncomfortable, but I thought was very tastefully and respectfully done.
No, I meant actually, I don't think I've had too many frank conversations about sex with people I know. So that's, I guess, one reason why it's kind of not necessarily taboo, but it makes me a little nervous, I guess is the proper word. But
Fair enough.
so I guess that's where I'm coming from on that regard. 'Cause it's an interesting topic, and
It is.
kind of back into the movie, it does explore various aspects of it that is not ordinarily discussed in films. And again, that's refreshing in a weird way. Like,
yes, it's open and honest commentary on various ways of expressing sexuality.
Yeah, I would agree. Even with like Olivia Wilde's character, some interesting moments with that too.
Oh, which one was?
She was the woman that he went on the blind date with.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry,
It's been a long time. Don't worry about it.
It's been about 2 or 3 weeks.
But basically, like how he goes on this psychotic date with this.
Well, they actually hit it off until the end.
Until the first date high wears off, and then
yes.
people start being people. Is pretty much it. And then of course everything kind of putters out.
Yes.
Which is unfortunate, but again, honestly, the movie's a good commentary on relationships in general.
It is.
Like it's
on very kinds of
from blossoming relationships to relationships that got stale after a while, with like Amy Adams' character, with her husband at the end, or what happens with that.
Yeah, to long-term relationships that fizzle out. In the case of Joaquin Phoenix and his wife, who wants a divorce.
Yeah, for me it was like I saw this after like going through very bad, ironically enough, like a very bad love life experience not too long before. So I was watching this and I was like, wow, there's some really disturbing parallels in my life right now. So I was like, okay, yeah, like that's that way kind of hit me more on a personal level than say like the other movies we talked about in the show, like 12 Years a Slave or something like that.
Oh yeah, this movie hit me on a personal level too. The scene that I was describing earlier when you were being a dick.
We don't need to call it that for the rest of the year. I'm just saying. All right, go ahead.
That scene made me very, honestly, reminiscent and nostalgic of the first time that I made love, because it is very special when you share that moment with somebody who is special to you. So.
I remember there's one part I teared up. I don't remember what exactly it was, because I admit I had been drinking a little bit before I went to the theater. But not heavily, so just a little bit. Either way, I know there was one part. It wasn't like during that scene or in that. It was like there was a line or some kind of conversation that had that. For some reason, it really hit me hard.
There was a line in conversation that hit me really hard too. Kind of was a bit on the nose for some of my current insecurities with my life. There's a scene when Joaquin Phoenix and Samantha, Scarlett Johansson, are having a late night conversation because he can't sleep, and so he calls her, and she asks how the date went, and he tells her that how it went, and she asks him, so why haven't you gotten divorced yet? It's been over a year, and why aren't you dating? You're a great guy. And he basically says that he's afraid that he's already experienced or felt the best experiences that there's to be had in his life, and everything else from this point onward will be just lesser versions of what he's already experienced. And that, I'm not articulating it as well as it is articulated in the script, but that word for word perfectly said some insecurities that I have been that have been weighing on my mind a lot lately. Actually, for the past maybe 4 or 5 years, as a matter of fact. That's what I mean when I say that some legitimate life experience went into the writing of the script, because nobody who did not have life perspective could write that line. It is very genuine and very raw and very real, and it really hit home with me. I don't know if that was the same line that you were referring to.
It may have been. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm probably going to see the movie again, so I'll find out.
Me too. It's worth seeing again.
I mean, it's still in theaters. It's still very widely seen in theaters. and it's getting great praise, and I think it's doing fairly good at the box office right now, isn't it?
I don't know. I've been a little bit out of the loop. But...
Fair enough. It's better than I Frankenstein. That's coming up, by the way. But no, I would definitely agree. Like it felt like whoever wrote this script knew what they were talking about, knew what they were saying.
Well, Spike Jonze wrote it.
Well, yeah, Spike Jonze is a very, very intelligent man. Like his movies, like it's kind of like some reason like the Coen Brothers or any like other directors. Like no matter what movie he directs, whether it's good or bad, it's going to be something different.
What I love about this script is that it's incredibly insightful. Like the part that I was just trying to describe, which actually got me a little choked up, because like I said, it hits very close to home. Thanks, that wasn't really necessary, but thanks.
You're okay with her kidding. Now choke me with your dead cat, man. Sorry, had to try to lighten the mood.
Kind of reminds me of when I saw Boondock Saints. The scene with the cat, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry.
I haven't seen Boondock Saints, so I can't. I know, you're not the first person to stare at me for that same reason.
Okay, we need to change that.
We'll get around to it. Right?
Anyway. This Spike Jonze is obviously extremely insightful and very aware of the human condition to come up with the lines in this movie.
No, I would definitely agree. Where the Wild Things Were was very, very much the same way. I'd say Her is definitely better, but it's a very kind of similar concepts. Where it's basically along the same lines. Like it understands how people feel, like for lack of a better way of phrasing it.
Yes.
Like especially like I get a little diversion. But I'm talking specifically about specifically about the director's talents in this field. So it implies the fact that Where the Wild Things Are is very much the fact that the little kid acts like a little kid, basically. Not like the way Hollywood portrays little kids, where they're happy-go-lucky, to run around all the time, yippee-ki-yay, woo, and all that. Well, if you're like 6, you should not be watching Die Hard, but that's a whole other thing. But it's at the same time, like...
The kids are not always happy.
No,
kids are scared and sad and have their own insecurities and feel unsettled.
In this particular movie, like he was very much, not necessarily insecure, but he was very just confused and frustrated with like his other family and like situations his family's going through, or like the sister wouldn't really pay much attention to him, stuff like that. And so that way he just kind of lost himself in this different world where he felt more accepted. And stuff like that. It just and the same kind of applies here, where it's like Joaquin Phoenix is a very, very lonely guy, kind of doesn't really know what to do with his life, kind of just trying to live day by day, not really doing much of anything.
He's isolated, he's going through the motions, and it's... and
kind of finds acceptance.
Yeah, it's highly possible that he's depressed. And
I would say more than likely in that regard. But it's like, no, and then he kind of finds this connection, this acceptance from Samantha, and that's, again, that's just it's interesting to see him kind of grow as a character.
Yes.
Like, and that's another thing that's worth noting about. It's like there's definitely a clear character arc.
There is.
For both Samantha and Joaquin Phoenix.
Which is so refreshing to see.
Yeah. So it's like where Phoenix is at the end of the movie is definitely not where he started off. Even if he does end up very much in the same place.
Yes.
But he's definitely changed. He's definitely grown as a human being, as you're supposed to be doing in actual relationships.
And an indication of that growth is that by the end of the movie, he finally has signed the divorce papers, and he writes a very honest and poignant and touching letter to, or email, I guess, to his ex-wife about how he'll always care about her because they grew up together, which I thought was very mature. And it's not something that his character at the beginning of the film would have done.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like, he's definitely grown. And same with Samantha. Even Amy Adams has her own little kind of character arc in the movie. I fucking love Amy Adams. It's like every movie I see more of her in, it was like I like fall in love with her more and more. It's like yeah, just Amy Adams in everything. Anyway, right there with John Goodman. Hollywood, make an Amy Adams and John Goodman movie. Anyway.
They're two very likable actors.
Yes, like that. I think I would just pass out from excitement. But yeah, that's about all I can think of. We never did talk about the threesome thing.
No, we should probably.
Since we've been hyping that up for the whole thing. So what happens is basically after he meets with his wife to divorce her, his ex-wife, brings up the whole like how kind of weird or taboo it is to be dating OS, and that makes Phoenix a bit uncomfortable for a little while. And Samantha kind of starts noticing that drift in their relationship, so she tries to spice things up
by
hiring what they called an OS surrogate, something like that.
Yeah, who props to Samantha's character. The OS surrogate she picks is gorgeous.
Yeah, good taste.
Yes.
Although I couldn't they couldn't just get Scarlett Johansson herself just go on down. I guess that would have been too much on the nose.
A bit.
Yeah, that wasn't a pun. I wasn't going for it at all. I don't know how even that would work as a pun, but anyway.
Well, the camera was put on the surrogate's nose.
I forgot about that. Either way, like even like Joaquin Phoenix is uncomfortable with it. Like everyone's like, this is kind of weird, even by like our standards.
Yeah,
and of course it doesn't go well.
No, it doesn't. He does give it a try, but rather reluctantly, because Samantha mostly wants this threesome, and the surrogate just wants to, as she puts it, just wants to be a part of their love, because Samantha has described their relationship to her, and she thinks that their love is just so beautiful, and she just wants to be a part of it.
Everyone's got her own little insecurities, but
yes, so I cannot speak from experience on this subset of sexuality.
I can't. No, not really.
People that I have, like when I've just sort of discussed the concept of it in the past, somebody pointed out to me that it's maybe not as great as a lot of people hype it up to be, because your attention is split between meeting more than one person's needs, and that's a complication that can make things uncomfortable, because if there's only so much attention that one person can give at a time, and I thought that from that point of view, Joaquin Phoenix's character expressed that pretty well, which is why he's reluctant, because he's having trouble picking which aspect of the situation his OS girlfriend or the OS surrogate to focus on. And unlike Samantha, he can't make the two combine in his mind.
And I'm gonna channel Wes here a little bit for this joke, where it's like threesomes are made worse when you play the Benny Hill theme. But
yeah, I know.
No, I tried.
It doesn't work in my
I'm not thinking about the OS thing. I'm thinking just in general.
Oh, like as mood music?
As like mood music, or just really if you're going threesome with anybody, just play the Benny Hill theme and just watch how awkward the women get immediately, or men, user's choice.
Yes.
But
instead of bow chicka wow wow.
Just bam 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 bam. It's like bodies tumbling all over the place. It's even worse if you have an orgy, but
I wonder how it would be with the Doctor Who theme.
I haven't heard the Doctor Who theme. You can try it. On that note, let's play the fucking Harry Potter theme and see what happens. Like, hey ladies, ding 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 ding. I don't know how that fucking Harry Potter theme goes. Or get even back at the Imperial March. Da 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 da. Get over here.
My high school band played the Imperial March at my graduation when the teachers and faculty walked to their seats. It was hilarious.
I'm trying to think, what other themes can you use that'd be so weird for a threesome? I think one is the loneliest
I'll be there for you.
Nah,
the rain starts to fall. I'll be there for you. I don't know.
No, I got it. It's a small world after all.
Oh, international threesome sex.
You start getting busy. It's a small world after all. You feel it, baby? Yeah. It's a small world after all.
that would kill the mood pretty quickly.
I don't know, some women are weird.
Some guys are weird.
Point. Touche. It goes both ways.
Yes.
On that note, I think it's about time you wrap up.
Yes.
So, final thoughts?
It's an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it yet, and do joking and uncomfortable conversations aside, editing, pacing, colors, script, performances, all amazing. It's one of the best movies I've seen in a long time.
It's easily a contender for Best 2014, and we're still in January. I'm counting it as a movie that's 2014 because it was technically released in December, but it got wide release in January, so I'm counting it as 2014. You don't like that? Bite me. So
Yes.
So that's my choices in that very blunt manner of speaking. So I guess on that note, would you like to join me in It's a Small World After All? It's a small world after all.
It's a world of laughter,
It's a
a
small
world of
world.
tears. It's a world of hopes and a world of fears. There's so much that we
It's
share
totally
that
much
it's
more
time
appropriate.
to beware. It's a small world after all.
Yeah, that would totally kill the mood.
I told
It's
you.
like small ones. Like, all right, that's about it, guys. See you all for I, Frankenstein, I think, later this week.
Laters.